Lord, take my love and let it flow in fullness of devotion to Thee. O Lord, take my hands and let them work incessantly for Thee. O Lord, take my soul and let it be merged in one with Thee. O Lord, take my mind and thoughts and let them be in tune with Thee. O Lord, take my everything and let me be an instrument to work for Thee. Let me humbly offer my most loving pranams to our nearest and dearest Swami for giving me this opportunity to speak to you on the topic of we, the fellow travelers. I pray that he will speak through me and say what you need to hear from him. Dear brothers and sisters of the Sai family in New Zealand, Sairam to all of you. I wish to thank Brother Yogan, our national president, Brother Mahesh Atithi of the Deputy National Coordinator, and Brother Jay Shankar, National Devotional Coordinator, for inviting us to this National Sadhana Camp. It's a wonderful opportunity for Geeta and me to come here and share my experiences with all of you here. At the very outset, let me put out a disclaimer. I'm not a philosopher, a thinker, a scientist, educationist, teacher, or even a public speaker. I do not have the credentials to instruct or teach anyone here, as I'm in the same boat as all of you, traversing through this ocean of samsara. Just like the rest of you, I'm also trying to put into practice what I've listened to and learned from Swami over the past 50 years. In this talk which I'm about to give, actually it is he who's giving the talk. It's all Swami's teachings from the numerous discourses he gave for over 70 long years. These are not my thoughts and words, but his thoughts and words, which I wish to share with you. The topic that has been given to me is we, the fellow travelers. We are all fellow travelers on a journey through time and space. Though we are all fellow travelers, we have to travel alone in this ocean of life. But what kind of a journey are we on? Where have we come from and where are we going? The answer to the first part of the second question comes from the Purusha Suktam, which are hymns contained in the Rig Veda and also other Vedas, but in slightly different forms. It describes the creation of the universe from the cosmic being, the Purusha, which is the supreme being, and it explains the spiritual unity of the universe and the origin of all existence. What this essentially means is that all beings, non-living and living, including human beings, have originated from one single source, the supreme universal consciousness of the ultimate reality, Purusha, or the Paramatman. Refers to the all-pervading, omnipresent aspect of the same consciousness. Essentially, they are different names for the same divine principle. We have come a long way in the chain of evolution, starting from microorganisms, rocks, plants, insects, birds, animals, and finally to human beings. Swami often quotes in his discourses, Jantunam Narajanamam Durlabham. What this means is, amongst all beings, birth as a human being is the rarest. Having been born as a human being, where are we headed? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Swami says that knowingly or unknowingly, whether we wish it or not, we are all on the journey to realize our true self. But where is the true self? It is resident within us and all beings, living and non-living. So it's a journey basically from self to self. The question arises though, why should we attempt to realize our true self? Today, We live in a space era ruled by science, technology, and lately artificial intelligence. Wars are being fought in every continent on the basis of religion and nationality. Political and financial stability is being sold to the highest bidder. Climate change due to man's greed in his quest for oil, gas, and minerals, destroying the environment due to indiscriminate drilling on the planet Earth, have created a very uncertain future for present and future generations, as a result of which there's a lot of anxiety, fear, worry, and frustration in the minds of the public. Peace and happiness have eluded our people's lives. So what is the reason for this? Swami says the primary reason is lack of genuine love for God, fear of sin, and decline of moral values in the society. Fundamentally, we have no faith. And Swami says faith is absolutely essential, because lack of faith makes man susceptible to imaginary fears. But what is faith? We must believe in ourselves. That is self-confidence, Swami says. Self-confidence is a strong foundation of our lives. Life has no value if we don't have faith in ourselves. We and God are not separate, as Geeta mentioned in her talk. Faith in ourselves is actually the same as faith in God. Every person lives only on the basis of faith. So we have faith in everything. It's only with faith that we go to the market or travel in a car. We promise to fulfill tasks in the future, fully expecting to be alive the next day. Unfortunately, though we have faith in everything, we do not have sufficient faith in the existence and omnipotence of God. What is the reason for this? Worldly objects are related to the senses, as you all know. The power of the Spirit beyond the senses, although omnipresent, is invisible. For this reason, man is not able to believe in it. But does this mean that he should believe only what he sees and reject everything that is unseen? Can he see his mind, for example? Is his happiness visible to him? Although they are invisible, he knows they exist. But due to weakness, we trust only the visible. We must face troubles bravely, as it's often said that pleasure is an interval between two pains. At this time, let me give you an example from my own life, how my faith in Swami was tested to the limit when I was married and had 2 young children. While I was working as a scientist at the National Aerospace Laboratory in Bangalore, I was given an opportunity to go to Germany to do aircraft flight control research with an aerospace agency for 8 months. At the same time, I also received a letter from the American consulate in Chennai requesting me to come for an immigration interview. My brother had sponsored me for a green card years earlier, and we were on a long waiting list, and I'd completely forgotten about it. When I got both these offers, I didn't know what to do. I had worked for 10 years at NAL and was a permanent employee of the central government. No one normally is the government, as you all know, until he or she retires from service. On the one hand, if I decided to go to the US, I had to resign my position from the laboratory. But once I resigned, I knew that my position would be immediately filled in less than a month. On the other hand, if I had foregone the American immigration offer and accepted the German opportunity, I would have to work for another 3 years because it's a contract. So we wanted to seek Swami's advice, and I had an open mind on the matter actually. And then I, willing to do whatever Swami says. We rushed to Puttaparthi the very next day to see Swami. In the interview, even before I told him about the letters that I had received, Swami asked me, "You got a letter to go to Germany, right?" So I said, "Yes, Swami, I had to go for 8 months." To which he said, "You have to sign a bond for 3 years, right?" I said, "Yes, Swami, I had to sign a bond." So he said, "Don't go, because everything will be in German, TV will be in the German language, and Geeta Mohan will not be able to understand anything." Before coming, Geeta had decided that she would not bring up the subject about the immigration letter with Swami. Unfortunately, the problem with us, we think that we can be very selective in our approach, and we didn't want to lay all our cards on the table. By giving limited information, we felt we could influence Swami's opinion to our convenience. This is the Maya that binds us from time to time when we are unable to recognize the omnipresence and omniscience of the avatar. There are no boundaries of time and space for him. Swami on his own, you know what he asked? "You're not telling me about the other letter you received. Why?" Geeta was not keen to mention it. But as she was forced to respond, she said, "Swami, that is for immigration, which means we have to leave the country for good." But Swami said, "Yes, you should go and experience my glory in a cosmic form. You cannot remain here and be content with my 5-foot form here." Then Geeta was not happy with Swami's suggestion of going to the US, as she was very attached to him from birth and felt that she and the children would miss his guidance and constant presence. On hearing this, Geeta started crying. Then suddenly he made an offer, such a sweet offer, I would say, an expression of pure love. When he said, "You and Geeta go to US, leave the children with me. I will take very good care of them. I'll ensure that they have milk 3 times a day. I'll give them fruits, everything." I was totally taken aback and flabbergasted. I said, "I never expected it. I couldn't even think of leaving the children, as they were just only 6 years old at that time." Just as Geeta was very much attracted to Swami's physical presence, her form, I was very attached to my children and family. I could not envisage a situation of going to the US without my children. As I showed a slight hesitancy, he immediately realized my discomfort. And he said, "Don't worry, Bangaru, take the children with you, but you go first and let Geeta come with the children later, after you get a job." I asked, "How long should you remain in the US, Swami?" As we had no desire to live permanently in the US. He paused momentarily and said, 5 years. We felt happy at least that he had permitted us to go for a short period and come back after 5 years. He promised to both Geeta and me that he would look after our children and be with us always, just like we had stayed in India. After we came back from the interview, it took me some days for the idea to sink in, as I felt that now I have to resign my job from NAL and go to US without any job offer in hand. In addition, Swami had told me to go alone and not take my family, as I think he didn't want me to put a burden on my brother's family, with whom I was planning to stay. It was a daunting prospect and a test of faith in Swami, of how long it would take me to get a job. Once I submitted my resignation, you won't believe my post was advertised and filled up immediately, within less than a month. So even if I wanted, I could not have gone back to my job. I arrived in California to stay with my brother's family. They welcomed me with open arms and lovingly provided me all the facilities, a separate room, a landline phone for me. Even a typewriter was provided for me, so I could tailor my biodata as and when needed. Please note that there was no internet those days. I started my job search by looking for potential job postings in the newspaper, attending job fairs. in 5-star hotels and submitting applications for employment, and also visited the NASA library there in California. The first few months went by very quickly without receiving any interview offers, only rejections. What I realized was that though I had an excellent track record in my area of specialization of flight control and testing, and I published some international papers too, they were of no avail, as I did not pass the criteria of American citizenship, which is required, and a security clearance. I was getting very depressed and homesick because my children were in India, and I was at my wit's end. Communication with my family, as you know, those days only was through regular mail, which took almost a month. Phone calls were prohibitively expensive. I somehow pulled myself along and started praying to Swami that he would see me through this ordeal, as he only had sent me to the US. One fine morning, and this was 4 long months after my arrival, I suddenly get a phone call in my room at 6 a.m. I get up from my sleep groggy-eyed, pick up the phone, and say, hello. A person at the other end introduces himself as a manager with a space company, not an aircraft company, space company, in Maryland. I'm in the West Coast, and the call comes from the East Coast. And he mentions, I have your biodata and everything, and I would like to know if I would be interested to fly out to Maryland for an interview. I said, sure. Then he asked me if I have a home and was willing to relocate. I just arrived 4 months ago, as you know. I said no and laughed nervously to myself. He fixes a date for the interview and said they will ship the air tickets to my home. At that time, I had no clue as to how he had got hold of my biodata. In addition, I had no experience of working on satellites. A few days later, I flew out to Maryland and was interviewed by 3 persons separately. By Swami's grace, you won't believe, not a single technical question about satellites was posed to me. Not a single question. On the contrary, they were eager to tell me about their company and the work they were doing for NASA. They were building 2 big Earth satellites for NASA at their facility. I came back feeling quite good about myself, though I had no inkling whether I would be selected or not. Lo and behold, a few days later, I received a phone call from my interviewing manager and made me a job offer as a principal engineer, which I gratefully accepted. I thanked Swami to the bottom of my heart for listening to my prayers. Life is a challenge. Realize it. Life is a dream. Life is a challenge. Meet it. Life is a dream. Realize it. Life is a game. Play it. Life is love. Enjoy it. Now, coming back to the Purusharthas, which Geeta mentioned, that what are the 4 goals of human life? As we all know, they are Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. But Swami points out very frequently that Artha and Kama, that is wealth and desire, will attain their correct significance if we regard Dharma as a primary basis and Moksha as our goal. These days, we forget the basis and the destination and retain only that which is in the middle. And all our life is spent in thinking of Artha and Kama. By neglecting the foundation, that is Dharma, and the goal, that's Moksha, we are concentrating only Artha and Karma and Moksha together. By doing so, we should use wealth for good purposes and desire only to attain Moksha. Human life, as you all know, is a combination of physical and spiritual aspects which are related respectively to the head and the heart. But man follows the head and has only the physical world in view, thereby forgetting the spiritual aspect. So long as man follows his head alone, neither he nor the society, nor the country at large, can attain peace and security. Peace and security will reign supreme in this world only when man gives a body attachment and follows the principle of love that originates from his heart. the dualities of righteousness and unrighteousness, truth and falsehood, merit and sin, heat and cold, etc., coexist in the creation of God. Swami also says that people want unrighteousness or adharma to be eradicated completely from this world. They want only dharma to exist, but it's not possible, he says. In this world, dharma cannot exist without adharma and vice versa. The world itself is a combination of dharma and adharma. It cannot exist if one of them is absent. So man should use his power of discrimination and lead a life dedicated to dharma. That's what Swami says, not my words. Let me illustrate to you the power of dharma which was played in our own lives. My twin boys were about 6 months old. We were in Bangalore at the time. They were being fed with Glaxo milk powder. Suddenly, there was a supply shortage of these milk cans because of a transportation strike. Rationing was introduced, and no pharmacy was allowed to sell more than 2 cans per family. We didn't have any telephone in our house to find out which pharmacy had stock of it or not. So I went on my scooter in search of it, and I came back occasionally with a couple of them. There were other times when I came back empty-handed. This became quite stressful for us, and Geeta was freaking out. She suggested that her dad could get the Glaxo cans for us, as he was a well-known dentist and had contacts with the pharmacist. I felt, on the other hand, it was very unfair to seek his help, especially since there were other parents who were going through very similar circumstances. As a mother, she felt that there was nothing wrong in seeking assistance. One Saturday morning, I came across an ad in the local newspaper which said that a new pharmacy was being opened in the northern part of the town, and as part of a promotion drive, they were selling Glaxo cans on a first-come, first-served basis. I told Geeta that I would head immediately to the pharmacy after breakfast and get a couple of those cans. I picked up the cans and was returning home when I stopped at a traffic light near the town hall in Bangalore. Next to me, a car had broken down, and an elderly gentleman sitting in the car asked me if I could help move the car to the side to facilitate vehicular movement. I immediately parked my scooter and got the car moved to the side. I asked him if he needed any other help in getting the car fixed, to which he replied that he would take care of it. But he said he would be grateful if I could deliver a package to an address in Jayanagar. That's where the southern part of town. I said, okay, I'll do it, no problem. But then he opened his trunk and brought out a big cardboard box. He tied it to the back of my scooter and gave me a note containing the address where it was to be delivered. I put the note in my pocket without even opening it or reading it. As the traffic policeman had asked me to stop talking and get moving. Later, when I stopped my vehicle to see what the note contained, I was puzzled to see it had my own home address. I reached home and told my wife about the incident. When he opened the box to see what it contained, imagine a surprise when he saw 12 Glaxo cans neatly stacked in 2 layers. There was a handwritten note in Telugu which said Geeta. We called her mother up, she doesn't live very far away, and asked if she had sent the box to someone. She was equally dumbfounded. But all of us felt deeply in our hearts that it was none other than Swami who had come to our rescue. We wanted to express our deep felt gratitude to him and decided that we should immediately go and visit Puttaparthi. Early next morning, my in-laws along with Geeta, myself and our children left for Parthi in our car. We went for the darshan soon after arrival at about 9:30 a.m. Swami came out to give darshan around 10:30 or so, and he spotted Geeta with the kids along with her mom and inquired the reason for their coming. They were so overwhelmed with emotion and that they couldn't say anything. He went forward a few steps And then he came back and he asked Geeta, did the children get the milk? To which she just nodded. Swami gave them vibhuti and said that he will see us in the afternoon again. He saw me and my father-in-law from a distance, and in the evening he called us for another interview. And we expressed our gratitude as soon as we entered and told him for showing his infinite love and compassion towards us. In Telugu, he said that Geeta had been scolding him that he had promised to take care of the children, but where does he have the time to do it when he's so busy with the college students? And dharmic husband, devoted wife, when the two are there together, how can I not help such a couple? Is what Swami said in Telugu. And when Geeta pointed out to me, he said it in English again so I could understand, because I don't know Telugu. I speak only Kannada. What he was basically conveying to us was that when we follow the dharmic path with devotion in our hearts, God will certainly take care of every one of us. But we need to follow the dharmic path here. That's important. Now going back to the question of, Swami said that man has got two kinds of knowledge. The first kind, which you call the secular knowledge or the worldly knowledge, relates to the day-to-day world. And what he has so far received in the universities of this kind. But the second type of knowledge relates to the higher world, the world of the spirit. The first has been described, which helps out carry on our daily livelihood. The second one takes to the ultimate destination, the objective of all life, which is to realize ourselves. By using the knowledge which relates to the world, we can carry out our daily life. By such a process, we can generally enhance our reputation and position in the society in which we live. We can also use this knowledge in order to fulfill our responsibilities and our duties. But the second type of knowledge, which relates to the higher world of the world of spirit, enables us to answer questions like, who am I? Why have I come here? What is the basis of life? What is the secret of my birth? And so on and so forth. To answer these questions, we have to see the oneness of all creation. The worldly knowledge and spiritual knowledge are really one and the same and are inextricably connected with one another. They are like two faces of the same coin, or like two wings of one bird. We must understand that these two are not distinct or separate. We should coordinate these two branches of knowledge and see the connection between them and conduct our life accordingly. Unfortunately, man has become so deeply involved in matters related to the material world that he has forgotten his connection to the world of the spirit. That is because man has lost the ability basically to discriminate between the permanent and the impermanent things. Because of the absence of such discriminating power, we develop a desire for sensuous objects which you should not develop. True education is that knowledge which fosters that sense of oneness, draws out divine qualities in us, and promotes the blossoming of the human personality. When one asks the question, who are you? That is related to the physical aspect of your personality. The spiritual aspect of our personality is, who am I? Human excellence will blossom only when the relationship and the balance between the physical and the spiritual aspects is intimately established. Physical knowledge is negative, spiritual knowledge is positive. Humanness blossoms when the positive is blended with the negative. This is what Swami says, okay? The purpose of true education is to produce this happy blend of the physical and spiritual knowledge and help human excellence to blossom. Thus, the aim of education, Swami says, is the total development of man. Man should be transformed to become compassionate. But Swami says, of what use is that? Education does not melt the heart when we see something to the plight of others. Modern secular education is making man hard-hearted, he says. Just as we try hard to sharpen our intellect, we should broaden our heart also. If this fact is not realized, of what use is our intelligence and learning? With proper education, both the mind and the heart should be transformed, he says. This can come about only if we engage ourselves selflessly in the service of society. Having been born in society, brought up in society, and living in society, if we are not sensitive to the needs of society, how long can we expect society to take care of us? That's the question Swami asked. Don't we have an obligation towards society as well? We should utilize our education we have received from society to understand the suffering and the pain of others and make others to relieve them. Not only will our life be more meaningful, but it will also enhance the purification of our mind and intellect. But without human values, we cannot deliver the fruits of our learning to society. In a Guru Purnima discourse Swami gave, he recited a Telugu poem, which when translated becomes, it's the power of love that is responsible for the earth to rotate without a pivot. It's the power of love that makes the stars stand across the sky without falling to the ground. It's the power of love that keeps the oceans within their limits. It's the power of love that makes the wind blow incessantly in all the worlds. That power of love is mysterious, infinite, most wonderful, and one without a second. It permeates the entire cosmos. The entire creation is saturated with love, as Swami says. Love is the basis for the cultivation of other human values such as truth, righteousness, non-violence, and peace. If we speak with love, that is truth. If we perform actions with love, that is Dharma. If we think with love, we experience peace. If we inquire with love, it is transformed into non-violence. The root cause for loss of peace and security in this world is a neglect of truth and righteousness. Let me repeat this again. The root cause for loss of peace and security in this world is a neglect of truth and righteousness. If we protect righteousness and practicing it, righteousness in turn will protect us. Dharma does not mean the mere observance of certain traditions and formalities. It is the harmony of thought, word, and deed which results in the purification of these faculties, as Geeta mentioned earlier. Love is a divine quality in man, but it should be shown not only towards other human beings, but also towards birds, beasts, and other living creatures. True education on knowledge lies in such an expansion of love, giving up narrowness and developing broad-mindedness, which results in real joy for oneself and the society as well. Now, we are all students, and what Swami says, we have to cultivate 9 qualities, gem-like qualities, he says. The spirit of sacrifice, humility, the spirit of selfless service to society, friendliness, discipline, adherence to truth, love, non-violence, and faith in God. Now, as fellow travelers, what do you think should be our priorities in life? In one of his discourses, Swami has said that it's a pity that instead of paying attention to God, nature, and man in that order, men today are concerned most with themselves, more with nature, and very much less with God. And now Swami has given a beautiful example of why God should be placed first in our priorities. First, nature or creation second, and ourselves the last. All of you have heard of the Mahabharata war, which took place thousands of years ago during the time of Krishna Avatar. The war was fought, as you know, between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, who were cousins, as you know. The Kaurava side was led by Prince Duryodhana and his brothers, while the Pandava side was led by Prince Yudhishthira and his brothers. Krishna was, as you know, as both a friend of both the Kauravas and the Pandavas. He tried to negotiate a peace agreement between them, but he didn't succeed. Now he refers to the Mahabharata epic, Swami, and he says of a situation where Duryodhana and Arjuna are both in Krishna's palace in Dwarka, and both have come to seek his blessings before the war begins. Krishna is sleeping, and when he opens his eyes, he spots Arjuna first, standing at his feet with folded hands. And then he inquires about his welfare, and then he asks him why he has come. To which Arjuna replies that he had come to seek his blessings. Now what Krishna is very clever. He designs a dilemma for both Duryodhana and Arjuna now by proposing to give his army of 10,000 warriors to one party and himself alone to the other, and says that he shall not wield any weapon or will he fight. He can serve only as a charioteer. Now, knowing Krishna to be God and the embodiment of power, wisdom, and love, Arjuna, he chooses what? He chooses Krishna as his charioteer. Duryodhana is very happy now that he was thinking that he may choose the army, and relieved with Arjuna's choice, and he walks away with Krishna's army. But as you know all the story, Duryodhana was punished with defeat, death, and disgrace for preferring the world to God, who is its very life breath. On the other hand, Arjuna had God, it installed before him in the chariot, and ultimately he was the one who guided him to victory. In another instance of the Mahabharata war, Krishna teaches Arjuna who is really the master. Now, the charioteer Krishna, he brings up the charioteer to the Pandava camp, the war is over, and then he brings it up to the camp after the war is over. And then Arjuna is now intoxicated pride, at his exploits that in the battlefield and all that. And he appropriates for himself the first place, relegating Krishna to the second kind of thing. He decides now Krishna should first alight from the chariot and put the steps for him to land. But Krishna says, no, you get on first. And after he does so, Krishna jumps from the chariot. As soon as he moves away, the chariot envelops in flames and turns into a heap of ash. And later Krishna says why it happens. He says, you know why it happens? Because during the war, all the arrows that were targeted at Arjuna on the chariot, that Krishna kept it and hold. But the moment he got down from the chariot went up in flames and completely became a heap of ashes. So the lesson that he is teaching to Arjuna is basically man should first endeavor to please God first, the world next, and himself last, which was not the case with Arjuna, as you know. In one of his discourses, Swami has given to American devotees, you all know, of course, Jesus mentioned joy, of which J is Jesus first, O is for others next, and Y yourself the last. But you should finally realize that you are Jesus and that you are God. But when you repeatedly think Swami says that you are God and you are not separate from God, you verily become God. That's what Swami says. But it's a question of thinking about yourself that you are God and not distinct. And God always remains separate to you. He's not separate from you. He's in you, as you say, and you're in God. You should first realize this truth. You do many spiritual practices and also service activities in this organization. But as long as you consider yourself a man and have the feeling of I, you should serve others. Then slowly, as you begin to serve, you slowly begin to realize that the person you're serving is your own reflection, reaction, and resound. God is one, the goal is one, but it appears as many in the society. You should see the unity in the society because, as you all know, unity is divinity. Swami ultimately says that Namasmarana is the greatest sadhana in the Kali Yuga. There's nothing greater than the chanting of the divine name in this Kali Yuga. It's the best medicine for all worldly ills. And as you all know, during the time of Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapar Yuga, meditation, sacrifice, and worship were described as the primary means to attain liberation. But people, Swami says, people born in this particular Yuga are more fortunate than those who lived in the Krita Yuga and the Treta Yuga. Why? Because in the past, people had to do meditations and sacrifice for hundreds and thousands of years to achieve liberation or moksha. But today, except a few, most of us can't even sit in contemplation for a few minutes. So therefore, he says, take refuge in Namasmarana. There is no greater spiritual sadhana than this. It's the easiest path to liberation in Kali Yuga. Chanting the Gayatri Mantra daily, understanding the significance, helps us to remove the evil qualities in us. As you know, the Divine Mother has three names: Gayatri, Savitri, and Saraswati. Gayantam Trayate iti. Gayatri protects those who sing her glory. Gayatri is the presiding deity of our senses, helps us to master the senses. Savitri is the presiding deity of the life principle and protects our life. Savitri bestows on us the changeless and the eternal wisdom. Swami says that we continuously sing the divine name. It drives away all our qualities. We can ourselves experience the joy it gives when we sing the divine name. That's why God is described as Gana Lola and Gana Priya. Swami said it doesn't matter if you don't know the nuances of music like Shruti, Laya, Raga, it is not important. But one should sing wholeheartedly with the feeling. And once sage Narada approached Lord Narayana and prayed to him to explain the efficacy of Ramanama. He said, Narada, look, there is a parrot on the tree. Go and ask the parrot to chant Ramanama once, said Narayana. Obeying his command, in what Narada did, he went to the parrot and asked it to chant the name of Rama. The moment the parrot heard the divine name of Rama, it dropped down dead from the tree. You won't believe it. It chanted and dropped dead. So Narada was perplexed. He went to Narayana and asked, Oh Lord, as per your command, when I asked the parrot to chant Ramanama, it breathed its last. So Narayana said, don't worry about it, Narada. Don't worry about the death of the parrot. Just now a cow has given birth to a calf. Go and ask the calf to chant the name of Rama. Now Narada was scared now, lest the calf or something happens to the calf. So he said, but however he didn't want to disobey the command of the Lord. So he went and asked the calf to chant the divine name of Rama. As soon as the newborn calf heard the name of Rama, it also dropped down dead. Oh my God, Narada was very perplexed now. What's going on here? He was so scared now. And then he went and informed Narayana. And then now, Narayana is totally unmoved now. He says, now you go to the palace of a king, okay? And he's now just had a son now. And asked the prince to chant the divine name of Rama. Now Narada did not want to do it. But Narayana said, nothing doing. You have to go and obey my command. Go and do it. So now he goes to that palace and he asked the newly born prince to chant the name of Rama. The prince saluted Narada and informed him that by the mere listening to Ramanama just once, he was transformed from a parrot to a calf and to a human being. That was the effect that he had, that he immediately became a human being from being from a bird to an animal to this thing. So he expressed his gratitude to Sage Narada for initiating him into Ramanama. So that such is the power of the name. So he says, Swami says the divine name confers human birth, which is considered a very rare gift. And he also gives another name of Bharata. And I'd want to just, a few minutes, you said, right, 2-3 minutes, I'll try to keep it short. And let me finally talk about the qualities which Swami expects of us as a spiritual seeker. In one of the Auckland Bhajans, way back in 1959, Swami spoke about the importance of the verse. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And he said that this particular verse has 16 words, and each of the 16, it signifies a virtue that has to be cultivated along with that bhajan. And then he recited a Telugu song composed by him, which indicated the 16 qualities to be developed. And what it is, I'll just read out. A spiritual seeker should be full of devotion, be basically bhakta, prepared to enjoy suffering, that is tapo yukta, free from the attachment to the transitory, that is samsara mukta. Should be eager to serve the Lord, which is pada sakta to the Lord, of correct conduct, that is vihita, charitable, dana sahita. You should be having unsullied reputation, Jaso Mahita, with no blemish on his character, Kalamasha Rahita, fully content he should be, a Purna, endowed with good qualities, Gunagana, equipped with all the virtues, Uttirna, equipped with the fruits of learning, Vidya Vikirna, ripe in wisdom, Jnana Vistirna, self-controlled, Swanta, adorned with commendable social traits, Sadguna Kranta, full of humility, and the last one, full of humility and fully surrendered to the Lord, Vinaya Vishranta. Padasant. If he has this virtue, Swami says, he quoted the last liner, Vade Nenudu, Nene Vadudu. He is I am he. Jai Sairam.